You're like, I'm going to build a digital business.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously.
That's this. Yeah.
It's called Husky. They charge more per shirt.
Hey.
I'm unloading the meat. I'm loading the meat. I'm unloading the meat. I'm loading the meat. I'm unloading the meat. I'm loading the meat. I'm unloading the meat. I don't even know what it means, but it is what it is. What it is. What it is. What it is. I'm unloading the meat. I'm loading the meat. I'm unloading the meat. I'm loading the meat.
Welcome to Unloading Meat, a show that's definitely not about cooking and definitely not sponsored by Grindr yet. Yeah, yet. I'm still working on this. Yeah, fucking wish. Anyway, today's guest is, I got this from her Facebook profile, a content strategist, a comedian, and a self-professed person doing stuff. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I creeped on your Facebook while you were on a phone call. Yeah. Please welcome the one, the only, Jules Costa.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
Welcome to the podcast, and thank you for coming all the way to freaking Bartlesville.
It was a drive
that
I did not know I had to take until like an hour before I got here.
It's a drive, like the further north you go on 75, the more you're like, man, I don't even need to see who they're going to vote on the ballot.
Yeah. Accurate. Yeah. Very accurate. But also it's very peaceful.
Yeah.
Like I look at it and I'm like, oh, it'd be great to not have neighbors for like a mile on each side.
I have like, this is the first, I don't want to like, out myself where I'm lovely online and stuff. Like, this was the first house ever built in this like area, like in 1956.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so like it was the first one here, and then we got it like really, really cheap. I don't know where I'm going on a tangent, just starting off the podcast, but like, yeah.
Go for it.
Let's just go ahead and out. My address is. By the way, my kid's shoe size is this. This blood type. You know, we can go through all that.
Give me your passwords.
Password is password. No. Quick, we're gonna change this real quick. Let's update a few things. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
And then for those that don't know, you also help run the funding for the Flyover?
Yeah, so it's Flyover Comedy, and then the fund is the Tulsa Comedy Fund.
Tulsa Comedy Fund, which I was a recipient of, and I'm very grateful for that. That helped with our roast battle we just pulled off last Friday.
So exciting.
Near sellout crowd, really, really happy. Congrats to Brian Bizjack for winning that.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, he did great.
Shout out to Brian.
He was undefeated the entire way.
That's amazing.
Yeah, great crowd. I try to do them the last Saturday of every month. It's when they're going to premiere on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
So, like, tomorrow is technically the last Saturday of February, so that's when my first one's going out with Zach Amon, Rachel Rose, Cepeda, and Bailey Mickle.
Ooh, great lineup.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because also, like, I'm a kind of a strategist when I come to, like, booking, too.
Yeah.
I want to book 3 more well-known people that will help with the crowd and stuff like that and help, generate. Yeah. I have to, it's a business. But I also want to book somebody that's more newer.
Yeah.
And just see if they can hold their own and get them fresh. But also, I really believe in like kind of like osmosis. Like, when they go out online, it's a special. If they hold their own, they're holding their own with people that have been there for a couple of years, and they're on the same level now. Like, they're getting there. You know what I mean? They're getting out there and getting the spotlight, so to speak.
Yeah. And that way everyone gets better, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you're with the same people all the time, you can also get stuck in ruts.
Yep.
So having that fresh face is also good for the people who've been there for a while.
Yeah, because like I always like try to advance, try to do like next levels and stuff like that. So like last year was the launch of this podcast and everything like that. I'm very proud of this. I want to keep it going, but with the live shows, I wanted to go to the next level. And so I found out like Blue Whale last year.
Yeah.
It really became apparent during the summer when people started submitting tapes. They're like, oh, I don't have footage.
Yep.
And people were freaking out, and then they were starting recording on their phones, and it looked like shit. And then and I'm not knocking anybody. I was like people weren't prepared for it and stuff like that. And I started noticing that a lot of people weren't prepared for it.
Yep.
So I started trying to figure out how to bring this kind of approach to my shows to also help do that. So like when I do the showcase shows, like my whole goal is like, yes, I'm putting it on my YouTube channel, and it's like it has all you guys' stuff. But I also privately give them a reel of their footage without my logos and everything.
Necessary.
And that way they can submit it to any festival, any show, any comedy club nationwide. Be like, hey, here's a 15-minute set professionally produced. Book me.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do for everybody that I book.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. They leave the show well paid and spotlight, and they get set up for the next shows.
Yeah, further opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we were talking about this right before you turned on the recording.
Yeah.
But, that there's so much talent.
Yeah.
Like in this area, but nobody knows about it. And part of it, right, that's part of the reason is because there's, I would say like almost a lack of education of like, how do you set something up professionally, get it up online and like have everyone see it, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so much local talent, and like locally, like we all know about it. We go to the shows, but it's you know, there's one more level of like, how do we distribute that and you know, have everybody else see how cool this area is.
Yeah, and like, you know, I kind of come from this background where I talked off camera to you about how like 15 years ago I tried and like, I gave up because of the situation I had.
Yeah. And
it kind of reinforced it to me where if I was going to try it again, I had to have like a base or a background. I had to have something of my own that nobody could take away.
Yes.
So I had to have this foundation. So I spent a lot of time building all this, and then I launched from here. And, you know, you have a good, strong foundation, you can only go up.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you're using your platform to also, like, lift other people up. Like,
yeah,
I'm all about that.
I don't want to be lonely. And then, like, I'm not trying to get, like, Bert Kreischer rich or Tom Segura or something like that. Like, I told you off camera, I paid my house off, paid my bills before I launched this. Yeah. If it pays the bills, takes care of my kids, that's all I care about. That's
all that anyone needs. Yeah. Yeah. And that is why the fund was started, was to give more opportunities for comedians and performers and just like people around the Tulsa area to actually get paid.
We'll go into that. Tell us a little bit more about the fund, like how it started and everything like that, and like what all it does.
Yeah, for sure. So Flyover Comedy is the kind of entity, and then the Tulsa Comedy Fund specifically funds two things, right? We fund people who are putting on shows in the Tulsa area, specifically to make sure that the comedians are paid fairly for those shows. And then the second thing that we pay for is Tulsa comedians who are traveling out of state for shows that they've already booked. So this time around, we funded a few shows, including yours.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Awesome. Full crowd. Loved it.
Yeah.
And we also funded someone who's going off to California, someone who's going to... I believe it's South Dakota. I might be wrong about that. One of the states.
And then crowd control too. Trash.
Yeah. Trash's show, Crowd Control, which was also such a great, like, just really well prepared show, and also like pretty full house. Like, awesome things happening.
Like that was so like just for a good rule of thumb. I'm like, again, I have no ego. I'm still a novice, comedian, but I just like try to help what I can with tips. My biggest thing I do every time I go to a show. At the end of the night, I don't care what happened. I go to the bartenders, I go to the people serving food, and I go to like Gene or whoever's booking. I go, did you make money? And if the answer is yes, then I feel good.
That's awesome.
And I just go down the list, and the bartender's like, yeah, I did really good on this. Like, awesome, because like during the show, I'm like, hey, go tip your bartenders. I'm doing intermissions like every 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah. Go refresh, go get some food, go get some drinks. I'm feeding them.
That's great practice.
And that matters a lot because that's how you get rebooked.
Yeah, that's how you get rebooked. And this is the core thing, is that it's good for everyone. Yeah. Like, if you are able to pay comedians, that means that you're going to get great talent on your show. That means you're going to get bigger crowds. That means that they're going to pay for more drinks. Yeah. Like nobody loses, right? Like the audience is entertained because you're getting high class, like awesome comedians doing their best work. Yeah. The comedians are getting paid. Everybody else who's involved in the show is getting paid. That's what we want. Yeah. And it takes a little bit of starter funding to get there. Yeah. And that's what the fund is for. Yeah. But I highly believe, if you have one successful show and you make a profit off that, okay, now that profit can go into the next show and it keeps growing and growing and growing.
That's exactly my strategy. I say I'm Mr. Beasting it all the time, where I'm like, as soon as I say it even at my shows, like the profits I get from this night goes to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Yeah. Like literally, like I got the I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm very proud. Like I've had technically 3, but I've had 2 this year of booking my own shows. Okay. And bartenders all made money. I invited Rick Clement out there, and I said, hey, would you like to set up a photo booth in our green room and offer like a discount for headshots for people? Even comedians that were just there for like to see the stuff got headshots. So Rick made like 5 people, made a lot of money that night. Yeah. And did my show. And publicity, you got publicity for it. I invited Dylan and his wife out to do their Cajun pop-up, and they're hoping to, get some spotlight for the restaurant.
They have that.
At Trash's, he did gumbo, and then at mine, he did pork po' boys.
Oh, incredible! And
then I had Rick photograph his food, so that we had professional shots for his food thing. So like the community, and I had like 5 different ways of like the community's helping the community.
Yes,
and that's what it's all from one event, and then it's gonna go on YouTube, and then it's just another way to spotlight.
Yes, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
and people think that you have to go outside of the city to be successful, right? Like, oh, I have to move to Chicago, New York, or LA. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to rip on any of those cities, and I'm not going to say that there aren't opportunities there, because there are.
Yeah.
But there's another way to do it, which is exactly what you're saying, is community helping community.
Yep.
It's let's all lift up together. Because like Austin, for example, that wasn't really a comedy scene, like 20 years ago, for sure, not a comedy scene. 10 years ago, maybe it was starting, but all of a sudden now you have Kill Tony down there.
Yep.
You have hundreds, if not thousands, of comedians flocking there.
Yeah.
And that didn't just like happen overnight. It didn't happen over like just because. It happened because a group of comedians got together and they were like, what can we do really cool right here where we are?
Yeah.
And I'm a really big proponent of that, is like, how can we make where we are the place that people want to be?
That's the way I feel. Like, and again, like I have 2 kids. We talked to, you have your kids. Congrats. Or your kid.
Yeah. 1 kid.
2 months, right? 2 months.
Yeah. 2 months.
Like I have 2 divorces like that and I split custody. So like I'm tied to Bartlesville. Like, I have 50-50 custody. And I'm okay with that till they're 18 and stuff like that. I don't want to move or anything like that. I want to make sure I'm always there to take them to school, pick them up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm an active parent. That being said, whenever we have to do Tulsa comedy, I'm driving 3 days a week to Tulsa back and forth. But I'm doing the work. It's worth it to me. Yeah. I don't look at it as a negative. I'm like, hey, if I want to do this thing, I have to do it. That's just my situation.
Yeah.
And it became this thing where it's like, yeah, I would love to go to LA or New York, and just like try to start from there. But this is my situation. I'm going to build it here. This is what I have to do.
Yeah. And look at what you've built. Like, this is amazing. This is awesome. And you're just at the beginning. And like, I think we're all just at the beginning, and maybe some people look at that as a challenge, but I think that it's actually really exciting. I think it's energizing to be in a place where you're not competing with a bunch of other people, like at open mics. I've been to Chicago, I've been to New York, I've been to the open mics there. You're waiting like 2, 3, 4 hours to get 3 minutes on the mic. Everybody's kind of cutthroat. Like there's not a lot of like community going on. I really love Tulsa because I feel like I know people here, and I don't really feel like anyone's trying to like cut me out or like cut anyone out. Like, is there drama? There's always going to be drama. Yeah. Whatever.
Every scene's going to have the high school cliques and stuff like that.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I never feel like I'm wasting my time when I'm talking to someone or around someone. I never feel like people are malicious. Like, I think it's a cool scene, and I think there's so much potential for us all to grow together.
Same here. So between this and like the different shows I'm trying to do it, and like, so I just strongly feel Tulsa, like, we just gotta beat that Tulsa King stigma. You know what I mean? Like, we have they got the dispensaries right.
Yeah.
Just not the random white horses walking through Tulsa, like
yeah,
and 78-year-old men that can still fuck.
I did see a horse though one time in downtown Tulsa.
Really?
Yeah, just like a dude, like a cowboy, black cowboy on his horse, just like.
Yeah. Wait, did he have big glasses on?
I can't remember.
Okay, so there's a.
Do you know this guy?
Yeah, I do know this guy. I think his name's like. He actually lives in Bartlesville. Okay. He's legally blind. Because he killed somebody with a car and said he was legally blind, so that way he could get away from manslaughter. And like, so
now the horse is his eyes.
Well, his horse is his vehicle because he can't drive a vehicle, so he rides a horse everywhere.
What?
And then like, the funniest thing is like, you'll see him mowing lawns on one of those like standing lawnmowers, like the ones like the platform ones, and he's just standing behind it with his big blind sunglasses on, like.
That's wild.
And like, he'll walk around with his cane and stuff like that. Because I worked cell phones for 15 years, and he was an AT&T customer, so he'd come in and he would just stand like a statue with his stick. And then I knew he could see, like, there's differences between fully blind and legally blind.
Yeah.
And it's a spectrum. Everything's a spectrum, just like my sexuality.
Hey.
Hey. Happy Pride Month in a couple months. I don't know. We'll delay it a few months.
When this comes out, June.
Anyway, no, like, there was a girl that tripped over something, and I saw him like just go, like, just smirk, and I'm like, you saw that shit, like, you, yeah.
You're like my guy. There's so many characters.
Yeah, he rode his horse all the way to like Texas, and like it was in some kind of like local paper in like Ardmore or something like that. Like Bartlesville man rides it there, and like the horse got clipped on the side of the road by a car or something like that, and I'm like. He's riding it full time in dark. I'm like, put some blinders on, or put some blinkers on that.
Protect the horse.
Yeah, they don't need the horse to be blind too.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm one to talk though, because my whole family's based in Brazil, but like I've got some yeehaw in my family. I have an uncle who does like a 2 or 3 week trip on his horse every single year.
That's my middle sister.
Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah, because like we grew up on like 20 acres and like had horses and cows and stuff like that. And like I'm the kid that like did you ever watch the movie Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore?
No.
Okay, like how even if you're not a Pauly Shore fan, it's actually a really good movie.
Okay.
Girl goes off to college and meets Pauly Shore, who's like the resident advisor. And then she takes him back for Thanksgiving and like falls in love with him basically, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's the weird wacky guy coming back to this farm family. And like there's a younger brother who's like on the farm and all he wants to do is play video games and stuff like that. That was me. Like I hated farm animals and stuff like that. I'm not the outdoors guy. Like I was just stuck out in Copan. Like and I was like, I just want to play on the internet.
You're like, I'm gonna build a digital business.
Yeah. Obviously.
That's this, yeah.
It's called Husky. They charge more per shirt.
Hey.
I'm Jared Ralphie Allen, and I approve this message. My fellow Americans, in this crazy election year where people are just drawing lines in the sand, it seems like everywhere you look, people are taking sides. It seems like the only thing we're all going to have in common this November is just a really awkward Thanksgiving. But before we get to all that craziness later this year, wouldn't it be refreshing to hear from two people that were just honest?
Case teaches geography, which is ironic because Case's wife says he has never found the clitoris.
Wouldn't it be nice to witness in person people say such inspirational things about each other, such as,
"Oh, Frederick Emmer is uncircumcised, ladies." That's 2 white hoods he's too proud of.
fuck it, wouldn't it be great to just see two people that you actually want to root for play the verbal smackdown on each other?
Rachel had her first kid when she was very young. You might have heard of 16 and pregnant. Rachel was 17 and a whore.
If this sounds like a cause you can get behind, then come see me and 8 other comics Friday, April 26th for the next edition of Unloading Meat Presents Roast Battle. Live from Go Theater. This will be a recorded event. Tickets available soon. You don't want to miss this.
Nick, take your hat off. Exactly.
Okay, Lynn Kinderegg.
Is this how you're supposed to do it? Right? Joking off the nose sticks.
Got so much meat in your body, you're nutty. Your tattoos make you look fugly. You silly. Ralphie, why you looking at me? How you thinking of unloading that meat?
Paid for by the people who love unloading meat.
Yeah, I love that you figured out the business part of it.
Yeah.
That's like the one key that I'm like, I think that's what's missing here is the business side of this whole performance thing and this whole comedy thing. Like, yeah, you got to get good at comedy, and that's important. There's also like the business side.
You have to be a self-promoter, and you have to build your brand. You have to you're your own brand, and you have to be able to promote yourself.
Yeah. And you have to figure out like how to charge things and be confident about like, no, it's worth it. It's worth it. Like like you said, I'm going to pimp you out. I'm going to market you. Like, it's worth it to sponsor shows. It's worth it to pay comics, etc. Like, I love it.
Yeah, like it's like like you said before, like, you pay comics well, you're gonna have better talent, you're gonna have better club or better crowds because more people can come see them because they're better comics.
Yep,
it's just a better all the way around.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I think that you also have this piece of getting things on the internet that a lot of people haven't figured out yet. And frankly, like I don't do that at all. Like that's not where my talents lie. But also this like getting our talent out on the internet and showing people. There's people moving to Tulsa every day. Yeah. Like, and they don't know that we have a comedy scene.
Well, not only that, but like what, not that I'm not being rude or anything, because again, I'm just now coming back to it. But again, it's like kind of one of those things where like, because we're so isolated out here in the middle of the U.S., if it's kind of like the tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, did it happen? Like, I'm not shitting on anybody. If you do the work, I'm a big proponent of, yes, luck happens a lot, but most of the luck is just doing the work, being ready for an opportunity.
Yes, it's plant the seeds and wait for the rain.
Yeah,
right? Like that's but people keep waiting for the rain.
Yeah, without
planting the seeds or not. I don't know. That's a weird generalization. Yeah. I think a lot of people are planting seeds. I think it's planting the right seeds and then also eventually expecting the rain to come. Yeah. Like I think that there's also part of that where people are like, well, it's never going to take off and it's never going to this. It's a little pessimistic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. You're talking about this area 15 years ago, like you've seen the growth.
Yeah.
So you know what happens 10 years from now, right? Like there's so much potential.
Yeah. And that's what I see. Like I see so much potential on all these different clubs and all this talent. And then like, I don't know, man. Like I just, I don't know where I'm going to go on the tangent for it. Just a little bit, like, based on that. But like, yeah, like I really want to see the spotlight. I want to see it all grow. Yeah. And it's only going to grow. Like it's kind of like it's kind of like people that like get like have a classic band. Like, I liked them before they went mainstream or before they sold out.
Yeah.
But it's like the scene's only going to grow if you keep pumping new blood into it.
Yes.
Like it's great to protect something that you cherish, but you have to keep getting new blood into it. And I think the last episode I talked to it was either Shauna Blake or somebody was on here last week. I mean, sometimes I get mixed up.
Yeah.
But we talked about how there's this kind of unusual thing happening in comedy, not just here, but everywhere, where you have these people like me that are coming back to the scene or being newer, starting out, mixing with these people like Zach and like you and people who have been here in the scene that like we're kind of like locked in a space because of COVID, and they're coming back at the same time these new people are coming, and you're kind of getting the mixture.
Interesting.
And you're seeing all these different approaches, and it's like kind of this melting pot of all these different things. And like, yeah, sometimes you're gonna have people have those little clicks and stuff like that, like there's a pecking order and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just say do the work and just just keep your head down and just stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Don't feed the drama, just do your own thing.
No one's getting anything from tearing other people down.
Nope.
Like you just don't. And I like people are people.
Yep.
Right? Like
Yep.
there's always going to be drama.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where you are.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what you do. Like I'm in this space, but I'm also in like entrepreneur spaces where people are, suit and tie, and there's still like like kindergarten drama going on. So people are people, but at the end of the day, like the more that we lift each other up, the more that everybody benefits. Like that's like for me, like that's the end point. Like I don't like if you're not an asshole and you're doing the work, like I want to work with you.
That's how I am.
That's it.
like and again, I have my biggest thing is like I'm not a big thing about like I don't care about tenure. Mm-hmm. Like if you've been in the scene for 2 months or 10 years, if you're funny and you're not an asshole, I want to work with you.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And if you're doing the work.
Yeah.
Because like I've had people before that tell me like, oh, don't have so-and-so on the show because they've only been in the scene for like a month. You should have so-and-so on the show because they've been there for like 10 years. What have they done? Or are they even talking to me? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about the pecking orders. I like, again, with my shows, I told you like the osmosis thing kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to book like Bailey mixed with Zach Amon.
Yeah.
And see if he can hold his own. And he did good.
Yeah.
And like, bam, he's on the same posters and getting paid the same rate. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm not exactly like, I'm not an old timer on the scene, but like, everyone was new at some point.
Yeah. And it's like, you got to get those reps.
You gotta. And doing a show and being in front of a crowd that's expecting to be there is very different than doing a show at a random bar.
Yeah.
Where no one even knew that you were going to be there.
Yeah.
Right. So it is important to share those opportunities.
Yeah. And like, I've seen like, we talked a couple episodes ago about even like Session Lounge. I'm sad that it went.
Yeah.
But like, it had a different feel to it. And we talked about how like there's jokes that you could do on Cellar on Sunday. You have to adjust your set completely on Thursday because everybody's high.
Yeah.
And it taught you different response times and how to adjust your sets really well. And I was like, that was a good thing to have in one same week. And I'm happy that I think Keels is starting their like 420 friendly bar open mic on Tuesdays.
Cool. Okay.
Spencer Mills is hosting that one.
Nice. We need a Tuesday mic.
Yeah. I think it started just this Tuesday, and it was a really packed one.
Tight.
So I think that's gonna be good. So Thursday, there's nothing on Mondays, and there's nothing on Friday, Saturdays. Which Friday, Saturdays are show days.
Yeah.
So Mondays, we need some open mics.
Yeah, we need no more on Wednesdays. Yeah. we have like 4 open mics on Wednesdays. Do we have a Thursday mic?
We have the Go Theater Thursday.
Go Theater is Thursday. Yeah.
Awesome. Which it has been consistent. It's been doing really good. It's getting packed up again. The hosts are doing really well. Like it's getting. I'm happy with Go. I'm really excited to see what they're doing there, and I think they're having their movie festival this weekend.
Yeah. They have a lot of really cool just experiences happening over there. It's a cool place to just hang out.
Yeah. We're saying yeah. And we're back with Jules Costa here, and like how long have you been in the scene total?
In the comedy scene?
Yeah.
Depends how you count it. I got up on stage the first time ever in 2018. I was living in Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I got up on stage for the first time ever, and it fucking bombed, and then didn't get back up until like 2021 or something.
That's how I kind of feel. I'm like, do I count like the 15 years ago when I did twice and then I got banned? Or do I just like go like, shh?
Yeah.
No, I started just like last year, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looney Bin's under new management.
Yeah.
Yay. I'm back.
Unbanned.
Yeah.
Still can't swear though.
Yeah. I get the rule. I get it because you're giving a live mic to somebody, maybe a complete stranger, before your paid crowd.
Yeah.
I can understand that rule sometimes on that kind of stuff. And honestly, it's still beforehand. Like, again, it's one of those things we talked about with the different venues. Like,
yeah, and clean comedy is its own challenge.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not my particular cup of tea. Yeah. I'm very edgy, very raw because it's just, who I am and stuff. But at the same time, like, there's times where it did help me craft better jokes.
Yeah, it helps you think about different things.
Yeah. Sometimes those restrictions help you get more creative.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's a different part of the brain sometimes. Yeah.
Bringing back to like, I do the showcase show, then I do the roast battle, and I tell people like I have them rotating each month.
Yeah.
And it's a different muscle to flex because I kind of feel like I watch like Ink Master and stuff like that, and like I always crack up at those people who are like, yeah, I want to be Ink Master, but I can only do black and gray. Mm-hmm. Like, well, then why the fuck did you apply for Ink Master?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like comedy, like even if you're like, oh, I don't like to do crowd work, you should still know how to do it. Like, it's like a tool in your tool belt. Everybody should have a little bit of, be able to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of being an entertainer.
Yeah, you are an entertainer.
Yeah.
You're a performer, and you have to have that experience. And maybe you have, your go-tos.
Yeah.
And that's important. But yeah, it's very much a different muscle.
Yeah.
Roast battles, anything that includes like an improv element, I'm still getting my my feet wet.
That's where I get excited. I love it.
Yeah.
I think on my feet. I love it. I mean, maybe it's just like the 15 years I had in commission sales and like just really thinking of that, and then also just growing up fat.
You got to be quick on your feet.
Yeah, I had to think of the insults before they take the fire out.
Yeah, I have severe social anxiety, and people think I'm a bitch because of it. But it's not. It's because I'm like constantly just thinking and I'm living with. I have a baby with one of the best shit talkers, Dakota. One of the best shit talkers on the scene, and he always has an answer for everything, and I'm like, damn. I get too in my own head, but I'm learning how to flex that muscle. Which
Dakota cracks me up too, because like I feel like he has like social anxiety or something like too, because like you can never like really read Dakota. But
he doesn't. So his thing is the opposite. Is that he doesn't give a shit. Like he doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. I care too much, and so I'm like reserved and quiet, and I don't say anything. And he's like, he'll just say anything to anyone.
Yeah.
And he gets in trouble for it.
Yeah.
But it also makes him really funny.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, Dakota, we need to have you back on here, buddy. Yeah. Motherfucker. Anyway. Hey, I got a problem with you, Dakota. You say I can't make Indian jokes. I'm just saying, man. I got my card to prove it. I'm 1 in 256. Okay.
Throw the card at him.
Yeah, I did that to Kels Cooper. Like, at Fresh Faces, I was getting to go up, and I had this opening joke where it's like, hey, my Cherokee name is He Who Smokes Pole. Mm-hmm. And, like, Kels was like, you're kind of, like, there's a lot of natives in the crowd. Like, they may not know that you're native, so you may not go off of that. I was like, okay. And so, like, I was going to cut it, and then I was like, you know what? It's a funny bit. I'm going to do it. So then I was like, I have my card by wallet. So I just put it up in my pocket. And I was like, and I can say that I am approved to do this joke, and I just pulled up my card, and they got a standing ovation. Like, people were like, ah! They saw the Indian card. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, just double down on it. Yeah. If it's funny, it's funny.
Yeah, you gotta be. I'm 100% with you on that. Like, I don't care what anybody says on stage. Yeah. Like, if you say something on stage and you get laughs and it's actually funny, like if it's smart, do it.
Yeah, I hate people that treat audiences like toddlers, and I think
you can't say that.
I think you can tell intent.
Yeah,
tone of voice and intent go a long way. And you can tell when somebody's really, like, the same thing with the roast battles and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, people get, I don't want to go too hard. I'm like, go hard. It's funny. Go hard. Like, nobody's taking this seriously.
Yeah. And if they are,
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. It's for the laughs. And to me, it's like who you are off stage and like how you interact and treat people off stage matters. Like, I care about that. But like on stage, bro, go for it. Any joke. Yeah. I don't care. And that's another plus that people don't talk about enough about being in the middle of the country. Like, not that I'm, anywhere near conservative, frankly, but like you can go either way on anything. Like there's not as much of a PC culture and like, oh, it's so original to rip on PC culture. Yeah. Right. But I do think that sometimes it limits what you can say and how you can say it, and you can't even like test a joke somewhere on the like on the coasts. Like I've been on both coasts.
Yeah, it's not like we're so inbred like Arkansas where they can't even spell CRT.
Yeah. And frankly, like I think that even the like more liberal people are even like it's like a different brand of liberal because like you actually have to like think so hard for yourself here.
Yeah.
That it's like, oh, you're almost like more liberal than the coast because the coast they're just like saying what everybody else is. Like there's a line that they can just shoot out.
Like even like it seems like our conservativeness has gotten kind of more mellow here in Oklahoma just because everybody's high.
There's so many weed shops in Oklahoma.
There's more than churches, and I was surprised by that.
Wild. There's more. I told somebody there's more weed shops than Starbucks in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
110%.
Yeah.
And
did you see that it overtook Colorado? Like Oklahoma,
are you
like
serious?
we're the weed capital of the U.S. now. Like
that's insane.
Like per capita,
you
like
would
how
think
much money
that
we're
it's
making.
like just recreationally legal. You would think.
Yeah.
And you need a medical card, but
yeah.
Who doesn't have
I just
one?
got my renewed. My card literally just came in the mail today.
That's your other card.
Yeah.
You can throw it on the table.
Oh yeah. I worked it into a bit. So like I'm Cherokee.
Mm-hmm.
So like I say I'm 1 and 256 Jeep. And then I say like Jeep, please, and then it's my word. We're gonna take it back. Fuck the actual car. We're pissed. Everybody's pissed about them. Using the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and then just take it back. Just reclaim it.
Just like queer.
Yeah.
Another
Jeep plays. That was my other one. Like I'm bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
I've had enough pain in the ass, literally, to think I've qualified. Like I've had some straight people be like, "You shouldn't say faggot," and I'm like, "Bitch." Like, yeah.
Hush. There's queer people in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You should leave.
Like my favorite line, the thing that kills every time is like I'm bisexual. I say I'm a faggot timeshare, and every time that kills. Like that's like just a good line, and like it like nothing else is gonna hit like that word.
So much of comedy is just wordplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like the tones and like it just hits.
Yeah. Smart.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
Comedy. I love comedy. I love saying things that you can't say in real life.
Yeah, me too.
On stage. And it's so important. And like whether it's facetious or sarcastic or genuine, like it's just so important to get people up on stage being like, this is my experience, and this is what I think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, me too. And like there's some people that really like talking like don't even like start a podcast before you. Why do you have a podcast? You're not even like standing up comedian fully or anything like that. Like now I'm like, I can't separate the two. It's so symbiotic to me. Like, and this helps with reps.
Yeah.
Tremendously. Like I feel like I've come so far just from doing this. Like you're gonna be episode probably like 60, 62 in a year.
Oh wow.
Like I did 54 in a year.
That's so many, and you're getting exposures to so many different people.
Yeah.
From it.
Yeah. I try to set that up to where like when the people come in from Looney Bin or Bricktown, like, hey, if they're bored. Because they're like they don't have the house anymore. I don't know if you know that at Looney Bin. They used to have the house.
I didn't know that they had a house.
From what I heard from Eric, what's his name? He was just here last year. Eric Knowles. I had him on the couch, and he was one of the headliners. He said that they used to have a couch for the headliner and stuff like that. But with the new manager stuff like that, they just put you in the hotel.
Okay.
And he's like, well, so I just kind of sat there for all weekend, just bored during the day, have nothing to do. So I was just joking. I was just looking on Comedy Rejects, and I saw you were posting, and we literally watched the Dakota episode.
Yeah.
He saw Dakota's episode and was like, oh, you got a podcast? I'm bored. You wanted me to do it? And so
that's awesome.
He came on, and then I tried to set up with the new manager to like, hey, if you have anybody coming in and they're bored, have them come do the podcast.
Over. Yeah.
And I almost had that. Then it turned into, well, can you bring all your equipment up to the Looney Bin and film it here? I'm like, can't do that. That's a lot of work.
That's a big ask.
Yeah, that's a big ask.
Yeah. Let's talk about standards. Let's talk about also
let's do that.
Demanding to be paid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we talked on camera about that, like, like the starving artist thing. Yeah, go into that. Let's talk about that.
So I have always been told my whole life that I wasn't going to get paid because I studied sociology and I went into journalism. And to be fair, I didn't get paid shit in journalism.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I did not. My violin. But then I got into copywriting and I started a whole business during the pandemic, literally just with Facebook and Google Docs. That's all I had. And I would just write shit for people. And eventually I learned that I had to be charging like 2 or 3 times more than what I was charging. But because I had been told my whole life, like, hey, you're not going to make anything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, as long as I'm making above minimum wage, that's great. Like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like literally begging people to hire me. And that turned into my little saying that I coined was raise your rates.
Yeah.
Like raise your rates. And I'm just applying that to comedy now. Like at some point you have to be like, this is bullshit. I'm not going to do 10 minutes for a glass of beer.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm just not. Like there
Yeah.
has to be a standard. And don't get me wrong. Like there's always going to be free shows. You know, if your buddy asks you to do a few minutes, whatever, right? Like
Choose your battles.
Yeah, choose your battles. Don't be pedantic about it. But at some point, you have to say like, hey, I've worked really hard on these 10 or 20 minutes. I'm bringing in a crowd. I'm entertaining people. Pay me.
Yeah.
Fuck you, pay me. Right?
Yeah.
Like at some point, that has to be the attitude, and there has to be a standard of like, hey, we have to be paid at least, you know, $5 to $10 a minute is a pretty good rate.
Yeah.
You know, like there has to be some kind of standard, especially when you've been doing this a while and you know your jokes are gonna hit. Like demand to be paid.
And you know who you're bringing to in the crowd. Like, you know, like how many of the crowd is like, oh, I recognize them. They came from me.
Yeah.
Like, I know that.
Yeah. And well, and you're building your social media presence and you're putting stuff out on your social media page. That's basically marketing, right? And then people are coming and they're buying drinks, and people love to drink in Tulsa, right? Like,
and if they drink, they stay longer.
They stay longer and they're having a good time, and you're building a name for the venue that you're at too, where they're like, oh, this venue puts on good shows. And, you know, at some point, talent has to be recognized, right?
Yeah.
Like if you are good at what you do, if you really believe that you're good at what you do and you have proof that you're good at what you do and it's making other people money, you should also be paying your bills. Like,
if you're good at something, you shouldn't be doing it for free for very long.
Yeah.
And if you do, it's pro bono. You're choosing to do it. Like
exactly.
You're picking to do it.
It's a choice thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's a choice thing. Like I make all of my money now from my business. I do content and marketing, and I will help any comedian with like the content and marketing and business planning side of things.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, oh, I don't know how much to charge for my sponsorships, or I don't know how much money I need to put this show on, whatever, like I will help you, but I'll help you because I choose to, not because I can't get paid doing what I do.
Same here. Like I'm trying to really help with like my visual talents and like, my Photoshop skills. Like, you know, like a lot of the flyers that are being designed, stuff like that, I'm doing them and stuff like that. Like I want to help make out really good flyers for people. I want to make good, you know, video production, commercials. Like I'm just really trying to help any way I can to help look good. Everything look good. And there's a certain quality to that. But like I kind of, we talked about like, you know, working pro bono and to use it more like attorney terms. I feel like a lot of times we talk about starving artists. We're also kind of what do they call it? Not apprenticeship. What's it called whenever you work for a job for free, like your internship?
Mm-hmm.
We're like starving artists is quote unquote like an intern. We're comedy interns.
Yeah,
we're learning the ropes, and then we're not getting paid for the shit, and then we're hoping for that big break at the end.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what we're doing is we're interning, and then like at a certain point you're like, I kind of need to get paid for this shit.
You really do.
And like mine kind of came fast because like I said, I'm driving an hour, like go theater. It's an hour and a half.
Yep.
Back and forth.
Yeah, you need that gas money.
Yeah. And so like cut like that time, like, you know, I got paid $15. I'm like, I got one drink that was $13. Gas is $20. Like I'm out. Like if I'm out negative money on this both ways, I'm kind of like, man, I can't do that again business wise. Like I can be your friend, but just business wise, I can't do this again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just have to cut those ties, and that's just how it unfortunately has to be.
Yeah. And like it's again, like it's right. We were talking about like what's good for the scene.
Yeah.
On the opposite side, like what's bad for the scene when you are being prohibitive, right? Like you're literally like people aren't able to do your shows because they're not getting paid. Like not you, but like you know, speaking generally. You're taking talent out of the pool, right? Like you're making people quit before they need to quit. Because it's not sustainable, right? Well, we all need to pay our bills.
Well, then, like we talked about off camera, like I don't know if it wants to be like acknowledged yet, but this will come out later. Like the new show Gene's helping me do with the video and stuff. That's technically a free show, but they're gonna get the video stuff off of that. Yeah. Because the thing that I had with it was like, yes, there's gonna be free shows. Free shows are cool, but when you're having a free show that maybe books 10 people, and you're not paying a single one of them, and it's competing with a paid show that has 4 people, you're splitting the crowd, splitting everybody, and then it's like, what good are you doing for the actual scene with those 10 people that didn't get paid shit?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's only so many pre-shows you can do before you're like, man, you're really kind of like, it's what are we doing a benefit for those 10 people that are booked, or are we just stroking the host ego?
Yeah.
And that's a teeter-totter balance. You got to kind of, even as a host, you got to kind of figure that out.
Yeah. And again, like there's room for free shows.
Yeah.
Like there's room for free shows. You know, people got to get their time in.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. But it's going to take people who know that they're funny saying no to free shows to be able to kind of make that balance, right?
Yeah.
Because when you go to LA, when you go to Chicago, when you go to New York or wherever, Austin, right? On the same night, there's going to be a show that you pay nothing to get in, and your expectations are very different than a show that you're paying $15, $20, $25 to see the comedians because you know that they're vetted and you know they're good.
Yeah.
Right? Like it that is part of the scene developing is giving the audience a choice of, you know, do I want to gamble my time and go sit at a show for 1 hour that might be good or might not be good? Or do I want to pay to see a show that is very well produced and that I know is going to be great and that I know that the comedians are going to get paid for it, right? Like I feel good as an audience member when I know that my money is going to paying the talent.
Yeah.
Like that's another piece of it, right? Is like I want to support good comedy in Tulsa. Like I want the area that I live in to be cool. I want to be able to, you know, pull up my phone on a Friday or Saturday night and be like, what's going on? Oh, let's go see this comedy show. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Like I want that.
Yeah, should I spend this money on like ordering in DoorDash tonight for $40, or should I go out for comedy? Was it worth that money?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and like it's so much more fun.
Yeah,
I love it. Like I'll pay $20 for a show and $20 for a drink and have a grand old time and know that I'm supporting my local scene. Like what's better than that?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
No,
Nothing.
I love it.
Yeah,
and it's like I don't know. It's the best drug ever being on stage.
Yeah,
and like having that response, that crowd response. It's like crack.
Yeah. And I think we can't be embarrassed. I think that's a huge part of anybody who does something creative. I think that there is a moment where you're like, I know that I'm good at this, but it's just like this thing I like to do. I shouldn't be paid for it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I went through that with writing, with copywriting, where I was like, well, I would kind of be doing this anyways. So like, I don't really have to get paid. And there's like almost an embarrassment to being like, hey, I need to pay my bills.
Yeah. I at least want to be above what Facebook thinks I'm worth.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
No,
like when Zuckerberg and all them went in front of Congress like a couple weeks ago. Like Congress had this big thing, and like Zuckerberg and all the heads of like tech companies testified, and like they brought in the families of like kids that committed suicide because of online bullying, and they had like big signs of like their dead kids, like "You caused this, do better," and that was basically just the whole thing was like shaming them, like shame.
Yeah.
And then we're like, yes, we'll try to do better, but like. It came out through the court documents of there's an actual dollar amount assigned to the human life on social media, and that's how they value it. And it's like $287.
Oh my God.
That's how much they value each human life on Earth.
I literally know people who pay more for their pets.
Yeah, but like when this figure came out, like that was just the base on they treat each individual person as.
$287.
Yeah, it was $200 something. I'm worth more than that. I'm at least in weight alone. Like, take me to a butcher shop.
$1 per pound.
Yeah. I want some Wagyu.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, but it's. I don't think that it's embarrassing. I think that we have to say it with our chest. Like if it like again, and I think that there's a natural like separation of it where like if someone doesn't, this is maybe a little mean, right? But like if the crowd or if the bookers don't think you're worth paying $40, that's also going to motivate comedians to do better and figure out like, okay, like, you know, what's working and what's not working. And we're going to these mics and we're testing, you know, our material, and that in and of itself is work. Like, it's 10 minutes on stage, but those 10 minutes, like how long does it take to get a strong 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Right.
How much work did you put into that?
Like people are spending hours and hours at mics every week. And it's like, this is your lifeblood, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if you're going to get paid whatever, 10 or $15 an hour to sit at Target or QT or wherever it is that you work, right? Like, you should be thinking about your time doing creative stuff in the same way, right?
Yeah.
Like your time is worth something. Your jokes are worth something. You're worth something.
Yeah.
I'm
like,
very big on
know
that.
your worth. Like
Know your worth.
I say it all the time. Like I'm a big pro wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
I equate like I really see a lot of similarities in pro wrestling and stand up comedy. What we do. And I've said from day one, I'm trying to treat my stand-up career and everything I'm doing here like a way a pro wrestler would start their stuff. A pro wrestler will start on the independent circuit. There are a lot of times they're doing free shows, like what they call a hot dog and a handshake, because you're just trying to do the reps and get your name out there and getting the social network around of who to build up to and getting that next show from a friend show and a friend show, trying to get that next break. And you build your brand, you build your, like, you get merch, you get your logos going, and it's very similar to what we do. And it's crowd working and doing improv, and like there's a lot of similarities to what they do to try to get over, so to speak, what we do.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of that, and I just try to approach it the same way, and it's working so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Building your brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I really think there's something to that. And there's one guy named Cody Rhodes, and he has this quote, and honestly, I want to get it tattooed. I have full sleeves.
Yeah.
His quote says, "Go from undesirable to undeniable."
Ooh.
And I fucking love that, because even if you don't know wrestling, anything like that, this guy, have you ever heard the name Dusty Rhodes?
I've heard of it.
He's a famous wrestler with Ric Flair and all them back in the 70s, 80s. This is his son. He had a big contract with WWE, and it was like 10 years ago, and he had just been like the mid-card guy. Like, you just come there, you put face paint on, you're good for the kids. We're never going to do anything big with you. But you could be set for life just being mediocre, just being the mid-card guy. He quit, asked for his release, and said, "I want more." Left WWE, couldn't even use his name legally because they own the rights to it, and just went by Cody. And built his own legacy, built his own brand, and said that. And started up AEW, the other company, with 4 other guys, and made their own promotion. And then he went back to WWE, is now the heavyweight.
No way.
Now is the main.
When was this?
Like the last 5 years.
That's awesome.
So like he's getting ready to main event WrestleMania with The Rock, and he's the top guy now. And he came back to the company. Like he built himself up and came back.
We live in a cool era.
Yeah, and like that's so inspiring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, man, I get kind of, I don't know, I get tingly about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Because
right.
I think it's good. I look at, my parents moved here from Brazil in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
My dad had 2 weeks off work my entire childhood. Right?
Yeah.
I barely saw this guy, right?
Yeah.
Like there was no other way. And we live in this era where we have the fucking internet, and you're doing merch. We live in such a cool time where there's so much potential for people to do so many things. And I whatever, call me capitalist or call me whatever you want. I don't care. I think that we live in an awesome era where if you are willing to learn and if you're willing to put in the sweat for it, there's so much that you can do in terms of personal branding and in terms of building yourself up and getting to those heights, no matter where you are in the world.
There's an opportunity there. You got to find them.
Yeah.
Sell 5 shirts a show.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm a salesman. I can do that shit.
Yeah. And you're booking out shows.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I think it's cool. I think it's awesome. I think it's fun. And I live with 2 comedians actually. Yeah. And, they'll rip on me and be like, "Oh, you're turning everything into this money talk, business talk, whatever." And I'm like, but someone has to do it.
Yeah.
And B, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's fun. I don't want to look at my life and be like, "Oh, I can never do anything fun for work or fun for money." I always have to be sad about going into work. Oh, fuck me. No, I don't want, I'm not going to go work in the coal mines. I don't want to. I want to have fun.
If you're good at something, you should get paid for it eventually. And if you're going to make it into your job, and then you should enjoy what you do.
Yeah, you should enjoy what you do. You should enjoy who you do it with.
Yeah.
And why not? It's fun for everyone. It makes Tulsa a better place to live, right? When there's stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. And entertainment is valuable. Think about how much time people spend on their phones seeking entertainment. What we do is not this random needless thing. It's literally the most human instinct is to be I'm bored. Let me look for stuff to make me unbored.
Yeah.
If you're providing that entertainment, cool. Awesome. Yeah. You're adding value to society. Yeah. Cool. you should be able to eat off that.
But not only that, like, there's also like there's something magical. Like I get both sides of it. Like I think of, yes, we're providing a service and a product being entertainment. Like, all this podcasting, the spotlight, the showcase we're doing, like that's going to be consumed by consumers.
Yeah.
But there's also this part of it too of like, I think there's something kind of magical of people going to the comedy show and being forced to take their phones down for like an hour.
Yes.
And you get to hold their attention.
Yeah.
In an age where attention is very hard to keep.
Yes.
And if you're
Attention's
good
very
at
valuable.
it, it's something magical. You have that connection. I know like Dave Chappelle talked about how like we're kind of like the last storytellers of like the tribes and stuff like that back in, people gather around the campfire and like the village elders would tell the stories of like the people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're kind of the last orators.
Yeah.
Of like the free speech, and we can kind of say that kind of stuff, and that's why it's so important. And I see that,
Yeah.
because like there's times where like you have a good hit or a good story, and all of a sudden you have people hooked, and they're just listening,
Yeah.
and you feel it. You can feel when you have them hooked.
Yeah. And it's a great crowd experience, like especially after COVID, where we were all just like locked up for like alone for so long.
Yeah.
The fact that you can be in a crowd reacting to things together, whether it's good or bad, frankly, like reacting to things together, laughing at things together, thinking about things together, like, oh, it's so core. To me, it's like some of the best advice I ever got in the comedy scene was from C.R. Parsons, and he said,
Oh, I love CR.
oh man, what a great guy.
Yes.
Just, cool all around. But he said, especially in a bar situation where there's other things for people to do, you don't even have to make people laugh. If you can just grab people's attention, you've done your job.
Yeah.
And I love thinking about it that way, of not getting up on stage and being like desperate to be like, oh, please laugh at me. But like, if you can just tell a good story, if you can capture their attention, you've done your job. Like you're doing better than most, right?
Yeah.
And I love what you said about like being orators and being storytellers, because I think that's just core to whatever it is we're doing on this planet.
Yeah. CR, I'm glad you brought up CR. Like the very first time I went back to do open mic, I put my phone up and I had it on a table and I was sitting there on like a napkin stand or something like that. And I went up there and I guess my phone fell down, and I didn't know CR or anything like that. But he was like, saw it fall down, a complete stranger, and it's like went up there and picked up my phone and like recorded the rest of my set for me. And I walked back down and he goes, hey man, your phone fell over. I recorded the rest of your set for you. And I was like, oh, thanks. Didn't even know who he was. Then I looked him up and like I sent him a friend request. I was like, oh shit, this dude's on Tulsa King and Reservation Dogs. Holy shit. Like he was so nice and just genuine.
Yeah.
And that stuff makes like stands out to me. I love that dude to death.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm belching.
You're good. You reminded me of the moment that I realized I wanted to stay in Tulsa, because I moved here from Virginia in 2021. The moment I realized that I wanted to stay in Tulsa was probably like 6 months in. I was hanging out with Cepeda. Cepeda. We were like at a different comedy show, and he gets a text from Amy, who's love of my life. Like, yeah, she's the sweetheart of the comedy scene. She gets a text from Amy being like, Preston's really high and I need help. And me and Cepeda head over to Fur Shop where they were. And it was like Power Rangers assembled, like a bunch of comedians. Just, it was so cool. Like a bunch of comedians came from like whatever corner of town we were in. We just like came, we all gather in this parking lot. He was tripping balls. Oh. And it's such a silly moment now looking back. And I'm only comfortable sharing this because he's told this story on stage so many times. But he was butt-ass naked in the parking lot. And just a group of us came and calmed him down, figured it out, went home with them, made sure he got water. We were out until like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And I'm there. I'm a newbie. I'm like, I don't even know this guy. I've seen his bush. Like, yeah. But like the fact that this happened is insane, because I've lived in so many other cities and countries. And to get even one person to help you is rough in some cities. Yeah. Like, because people are like, I don't know. Like, I'm over in whatever other neighborhood, it's going to take me an hour to get to you, or like I'm rushing to another place, or they're so like in their own heads. And the moment I knew I wanted to stay in Tulsa was like that community moment. That's when it clicked for me of like, I never feel alone here. Like I know, like oh, I'm stuck at the airport. Oh, my car just broke down, whatever. I know that there are people that I can call.
Yeah.
And that is like, I don't know if we see how valuable that is
Yeah.
here. Like sometimes it's hard to remember, like, that is not the experience for everyone. We have a loneliness epidemic happening. And the fact that you can feel not alone is amazing. Is
yeah,
incredible.
I mean, like, just like even proof of like how many people I've gotten to come out here an hour or so and drive out here to Bartlesville to do this show. Like, it's just like, like, I mean, I've had some people, like, I first started when the season 1, I said this is a Tulsa podcast, and I still kind of do. It's a Tulsa-based podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Tulsa, around Tulsa, but like I intentionally never said Bartlesville the first season because when I was booking some people, the day of, people cancel when they found out it was in Bartlesville. They're like, "Oh, I'm not driving that far.
That's
Fuck
fair.
you,"
Yeah.
and it's canceled.
Yeah.
And it was like the day of, I'm like, oh. So I just lied about it and just said I was a Tulsa podcast for a while, and then literally, like, not an ego, but once Josh Wolf came out here and did that, and I was like, they paid me for that. They did an hour or so here, and they were all cool with it, and they even labeled their show From Bartlesville. Like, the name of the episode's From Bartlesville, like, just called Bartlesville.
No way.
And I was like, if they're cool with it, fuck it. Like, if you're cool with it, I want to work with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're trying to just have a good chat and an opportunity and just to help everybody.
Now you're 60 people in.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's that thing about like preserving your worth and doing things and being cool and like, look at this. Like, that's awesome.
Well, like, stand up and everything, like, you could say it too. Like, a lot of it is confidence. Like, if you don't go up there and project confidence, they'll eat you alive.
God, yeah. Oh,
nothing's
my God,
gonna get a
yeah.
over. Nothing's gonna get a laugh if you don't say you're confident behind it. Like, again, like, if I'm gonna go up there and say the F word or something like that, I'm gonna say it with full confidence because I mean to.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah.
You gotta.
I own it. Like, that's my word. I want to say that fucking word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you see it all the time. Like, if somebody's bombing, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get a lot more laughs if you're like, if you own it. If you're like, I'm bombing and I'm gonna keep talking, like, you're gonna get more laughs than if you're like, please laugh at me, guys.
Yeah.
Like the more you grovel, the less the crowd cares.
Just study Norm Macdonald. Norm leaned into it like so hard.
Mm.
Like, I watched The Dark Side of Comedy on Hulu. Highly recommend that. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a Norm Macdonald episode, and like, I didn't know he had cancer like pretty much his entire career.
Oh wow.
He had lymphoma or leukemia from like the days he got discovered in like Canada, like in the 80s.
Shit.
And he kept it hidden all through SNL. Nobody knew through SNL or anything he had leukemia. He kept it hidden all the way to his death almost. Only like 4 people knew.
That's got to put such a crazy mindset in somebody's head.
He was always thinking he's going to die. And so, like,
Yeah.
he just had this mindset of, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna live my best life.
Yeah.
Because it's the only one.
But, like, they said on there, like, Dana Carvey and they were talking about, like, how, like, when you do a special, for those that don't know, like, most people, like, when they do a special, they'll record it, like, twice. They'll do, like, multiple showings, and then they'll splice it together sometimes, or they'll take the best of both things.
Yeah.
He would intentionally do the first show, and anything that didn't land, most comics would be like, okay, I'm not going to do that on the next one or something like that. He'd go, fuck that didn't land. I'm going to intentionally double down on it. And he would lean into those on his specials and everything. He would intentionally go for the stuff that didn't work and bomb.
Wait, what's his name again?
Norm Macdonald.
Okay.
Oh, highly recommend it.
I've heard the name. He's a classic.
Very dry humor.
I need to watch more.
His famous thing is he was the Weekend Update correspondent on SNL, like during like the OJ's times and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's famous for getting fired because the owner and the president of NBC was friends with OJ at the time and said, "Hey, you need to stop making OJ jokes." And he would go around the script and everything and live on the air just keep doing OJ jokes because fuck that guy. Like, it's in the news. It's OJ Simpson murder trial. You want me to not talk about OJ?
Mm-hmm.
And he got fired from that shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like, he just always stuck down his guns. Like,
it's wild how many big cultural moments are tied back to comedy, like the whole Cosby thing and Hannibal Buress.
oh yeah, Hannibal, man.
Dude, like, moments that could have ruined someone's career, and it flipped the script, it reversed it.
But yeah, Missy Elliott right there. Put name down, flip it down, reverse it. You're
Oh man, I love it. I love comedy as an art form. I love having the stage and being able to use it for something that is beyond just making people laugh.
Yeah.
That's a conversation that me and Dakota have all the time, and he's more into it than I am. He's very like purist, like, I'm only into the art form and I don't care about the business, and I'm, I should be wearing a little suit and tie right now. Like, I should be dressed like Hillary Clinton. But
Well, we just lost half the demographic.
Yeah, right.
Have you met my neighbors?
But he's purist about it. But like his big thing is, back to the storytelling, right? Like you can use, like, yes, it's so great to make people laugh, but you can use this platform to talk about above and beyond what other people will listen to. Even in like music and stuff like that, like that's another very powerful art form. But like even beyond that, like if you can make somebody laugh and think, golden.
Well, it's like I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith. I love Kevin Smith. I really idolized him growing up, stuff. And like one of his movies was Chasing Amy. I don't know if you ever watched Chasing Amy.
I haven't watched that particular movie.
But
I love Kevin Smith.
It's kind of infamous in the lesbian community because the plot of it is Joey Lauren Adams is a lesbian and she falls in love with Ben Affleck, and like they're like it basically like there were some connotations in the early 90s. Basically, this was a mainstream movie of like all lesbian needs a good stiff dick, basically all that kind of shit. And a lot of lesbians were like, this is what he's pushing out there, and that wasn't the intent of the movie. They didn't even watch it a lot of times. And he did a Q&A because like Kevin Smith doesn't do stand up. He does Q&As, and he'll go to college campuses and stuff like that, and he'll just talk for 4 hours. And they're amazing. Yeah. And this lesbian girl came up there and like I tried to like go into him about that. And she was kind of mad about it. And he's like, hey, look, all I can do is say, look, here is how I view the world. Do you agree or disagree? I'm just putting this out here. I'm not saying I need your approval or anything like that. You can agree with it, disagree. You don't have to watch it. You don't do anything. But this is just how I view it. And this is just what happened. This is my view. And that's it. And that's kind of what I do with my stuff. And like, I'm going to say stuff on the stage. That's my truth. That's just kind of my thing.
You can't please everyone.
No.
Like what's the point? Right? Like that's not fun.
And also laughter is infectious. So like say you didn't get the person in the crowd right here, but the next person and the one on this side laughed, it's going to kind of carry over. Yeah. They may not like it, but the person next to them is like, yeah, he said bitch, right? Yeah. Like, oh yeah, that is kind of funny.
And sometimes the best moments, honestly, like once you're like into comedy enough, I feel like sometimes the best moments is when the whole crowd groans and you're like, that was for me. That wasn't for anybody else. That was for me. You mentioned Kevin Smith. I met somebody in New York who wrote a whole article. He's a trans dude, lives in New York, wrote a whole article. I think it was in GQ or something, one of those magazines, about how Kevin Smith is like a fashion icon for the trans mass community. Just like the big oversized everything. Yeah. Great article. This is wild.
He like really is like, he's like kind of like done Action Bronson's another big guy one that does that kind of stuff like that. It's like comfort. Like you just get comfort, you get that one style, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna do that all the time.
Someone told me I dressed for comfort, and I was like, I know that's not a compliment, but I'm gonna take it. But it's true.
I have to just because like when I look for stuff on like to buy, it's like, oh, there's like 5 things.
Like, here's your 5 options.
Yeah. Do you want comfort or pregnancy pants?
Yeah. Bro. Nobody knew. Okay, I was pregnant for 9 months, right? Just like anybody would be. I don't know why I said that.
Carry the 2.
Yeah. I was pregnant for 9 months. Literally my 8th month. I went up on stage and I was like, I'm 8 months pregnant and y'all keep offering me beer. And like people I knew in the crowd, freaking Brian Bizjack went, what? He's like, you're pregnant? like nobody, like I showed up with my baby to Hunt Club, which, should we take babies to comedy shows? I don't know.
It's outdoor.
Yeah, right. And people were like,
great empanadas.
When were you... and quesadillas. People were like, when were you pregnant? I just had my Kylie Jenner moment unintentionally because I just dress already like a pregnant person before and after, during, and nobody knew.
Well, and also like if you don't go to every mic every week, it's like kind of the thing where they like out of sight, out of mind, and like you just like behind the scenes, you've kind of had this thing happen.
But I did though.
Oh shit. No, I was saying, you happen to be going to bars where people are on drugs or drinking and stuff like that. Maybe they're not the best attentive.
What one person said, I noticed the weight gain, which terrifying thing to say. Like that was bold. But she went, I noticed the weight gain. I thought it was just the beer. And I was like, y'all, damn. Ouch. No, I was a good 8-9 months pregnant, and people were like, what? Huh? Which I guess is great. I guess is the dream, but
Yeah.
it was interesting. Yeah.
Just,
Dress for comfort.
yeah.
The key here is dress for comfort, and nobody will know anything about you.
Yeah, it's true. Everything's elastic now in 2024.
Yeah.
There's stretchy pants everywhere.
I love a good stretchy, flowy. I just want to drape myself in cloth, like a Greek.
Yeah, like Homer Simpson,
poem.
the moo.
Yeah. Frankly, okay. This is a conspiracy theory I have, is that it's crazy that we have to pay to wear clothes. Because it's illegal not to wear clothes. So why are we paying to wear clothes? And then another layer on this is that you have to wake up and think about the clothes that you wear. Like you're just using up brain cells. There's something they don't want us to know. They want to keep us distracted.
I'm just thinking,
what the fuck are you talking about?
No, I'm thinking more like I'm also smoking a little bit of weed, so I'm just sitting here like, well, if they have food benefits and stands like that and sooner care and stuff like that,
where are my clothes benefits?
Where's your clothes benefits for this is the default outfit? Like if you're starting out the RPG and you just had the default character, where's the default the blue shirt and the blue pants?
Yeah. I want my government cheese and my government outfit.
Yeah.
Just deployed to. Why am I paying to follow your rules?
Give me my government Lululemon.
Yeah. I'll just say that I think we would have a happier world if people would just stop.
Just go to therapy and smoke some weed if you need to.
Just
and
do
just
what you're
talk your shit out.
doing.
Yeah.
Figure out how to make what you love
Because
work.
honestly, if you're gonna do something, you should do it to the best of your ability, and it's a lot easier to do that if you enjoy doing it.
Yeah, 110%.
Yeah.
I see the work you're doing. I'm in this world of production and marketing and all of that. I see what you're doing, and I respect the fuck out of it.
Well, thank you. I respect everything you're doing here, and especially with the comedy fund and everything. It's amazing, and real that's real. I really respect that you came all the way out here for this, and I think this started a good friendship, and I really appreciate you coming out here.
Yeah.
This has been cool.
Yeah.
Where can everybody find you if they want to book the great Jules Costa?
Yes. So I am Jules Costa on Facebook and Flyover Comedy also on Facebook and also on Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming out here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you. Guys, this has been Unloading Meat. I am Jared Ralphie Allen. That's Jules Costa. Peace.
I'm unloading the meat.